What is up, guys? It is Stu, and it is another episode of the What the Fuck Gym Talk podcast. And continuing on with some programming, little jam sesh early this morning with Deuce. And today we jammed on what topic we wanted to hit, and I think something that would be fun and bombastic, and I think it will stir the pot a little bit. And I love to just fucking stick a good spoon in the pot and stir it up. We're going to talk about essentially three movements that we do not do at Urban MVMNT, why we don't do them, what we do instead, why it's better, we believe, from a physical development, a fitness development standpoint, and then why it's better from a business standpoint from an operator. So we went over this list, and I've got all my notes here. We got a lot of notes in some of these. Let's go ahead, and I'm gonna let you kick off the first one, and the handstand push-up, and all variations of such, and talk a little bit about why we decided not to include that in the methodology.
Yeah, and I think so for these movements, at least the way I'm looking at them is, it's not that these movements aren't inherently bad. I wouldn't argue that like all the movements we're going to talk about shouldn't be done. It's just in a group setting, I think they're terrible.
100%.
And I think that's the main point here.
Anything the body can physically do, I guess anything. You could shove a gerbil in your ass. You shouldn't, right? Like anything the body can physically do and perform. I mean, there's obviously extended feats to that. But again, we are not talking about physical proficiency in the world. We're talking about literally running a business of bringing in human beings, working them out, getting them fit, having them have a good time, and get them the fuck out. And that in that business, these movements, they don't have any place.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
So the handstand push-up, that's where we're going to start. And then a handstand push-up, everybody knows that you go over to the wall, you kick up upside down, we throw our feet against the wall, drop your head to the floor, and then try and push yourself back up. It's one of those things, it's a high injury rate, at least the way I see it, is you have these people kicking up to the wall, and who knows a lot of the times whether they can support themselves upside down or not. And it's just, let's try and find out. And they kick up, and you have the people who, hey, I kick up the first time, I'm fine. And then you have the other people who kick up, and it's literally they just crash to the floor. Coaching that in a group setting, just to kick up to the wall, is a nightmare. Coaching 20 people to kick up to a wall and then having other people spot them is a disaster.
It's an insurance liability.
Yeah.
And go keep going.
And it's one of those things. There's so many other movements that can be done instead of that, and it accomplishes the exact same thing. And we can get the same benefits out of it, whether it's a seated press, a half kneeling press with dumbbells. And I can get the same benefit out of it, and I'm not taking up extra or only space on the wall.
Yeah.
And it's just infinitely scalable. So the results I get out of it, if somebody can't do a handstand push-up, it's, okay, let's go to this box, and you're going to do a pike handstand push-up with your feet on the box. And it's way different. The stimulus they're getting out of it is so much more different than the 22-year-old who can knock out 21 strict handstand push-ups.
Yeah, you touched on a lot there. So let's go ahead, and I want to dial in a few of those, because some of those that drum needs to get beat a little bit more. The injury part, right? There are going to be people listening to this. They're going to be like, oh, you guys just aren't coaching well enough. You haven't taken Carl Paoli's freestyle course. You haven't gone to the gymnastics. You need to watch these videos from Pamela Gangon. Like, I've done all those. I've had Carl Paoli at the facility. I've met with Pamela. Like, we've done all those. I remember when I was across the facility coaching a handstand push-up and telling myself, you're literally doing this as best as you possibly can. But it is 6 p.m. and you have 23 people reserved in that class. And one of them is new. It's a new human walking in. You have no idea. You didn't before, you have no idea whether they should be doing this, and they probably shouldn't. So in the typical CrossFit class with handstand push-up, there was probably amount of skill work or, okay, guys, everyone get to the wall. Let's have everyone practice kicking up. And now you have this brand new person, and you have to make a decision. Do I make them sit on the ground and do a modified version, a Z press off the box pike, altered handstand push-up developer movement? Or do I just say, fuck it, and throw this guy up there because I want him to feel a part of the show?
Yeah.
Because now I'm fucking with my sales opportunity, but I don't want to take all the attention away from the class. There's just so many variables. That kicking up against the wall. I remember that Carl Paoli did a seminar at CrossFit South End. That was a 45-minute thing to teach coaches. And I remember one of the things he said was, there are going to be times you're not physically capable of spotting someone to kick up against the wall. You have a 130-pound female That's actually, 130 pounds is still respectable on the female size, but like you have a coach that, she's there, she's strong, but she has a 260-pound dude who's going to kick up for the first time. That is a disaster. Not only one, but like a CrossFit fail, goes on YouTube, fucking disaster.
It's like dropping a heel strike to your forehead.
Yeah, it just, the amount of like, oh my God, how much time is this taking up within that precious hour? So the injury rate, I see it's not only just like because you don't know how to coach it, it's just there are so many fucked up variables with having a human kick up to a wall and there's so much prerequisite. Like if you could look at everybody and you set a standard, if you can seated press or seated Z press or whatever, or kneeling press, you have some standard X amount of weight, then we feel safe for you doing that. That's not the case, man. You've got random people coming in through classes all day.
And even the people who, let's say you do set those prerequisites and they have it, and let's say they even have strict handstand push-ups. It eventually gets to a point in a certain workout to where, hey, I'm trying to beat my friend over here. And so I'm just going to keep going and keep going. And the way down, I start losing it. And now my head turns into a fucking pogo stick into this ab mat every time.
Yeah.
Like I swear to God, I used to be an inch taller.
I mean, and that's the thing is, every coach and owner listening to this, when you first got into coaching handstand push-ups, if you're in the CrossFit variety, there was a moment where you're like, please don't see Reeves yourself. Please don't see Reeves yourself. Please don't get yourself injured. Because there wasn't a lot of, at least back in 2006, 7, 8, when I started, you hadn't seen 20 people do this all at once, and you're like, oh my God. It's like the first time you all ever, when I bought a ton of ropes and I hung them from the ceiling, I had 15 people climbing ropes at once. I was like, oh my God, this is, the odds here are not in my favor, because these are just regular humans going as fast as possible, and they've only played on a rope once in their life prior to that. So, there's that. So there is obviously the inherent injury to the neck. And then when you get into things like the kipping handstand push-up, I think it looks like someone violently trying to suck their own dick. Like getting upside down, getting their face right there, and then just throwing their asshole towards their face over and over. It just, when you look at it, if you just looked at a montage, I tried putting one together for a video when I was making fun of this, is like, just get a montage of kipping handstand push-ups on YouTube, and you just watch at speed, and even put some music behind it, and it is just literally the just most ridiculous looking thing ever. Now let's talk about this. One thing we didn't address on this is these are reasons why we don't do it, right? Another one, the scaling options suck. You mentioned that a second. Like the scaling options require you could do that like piked push up from the floor. You can do the piked push up type scenario off a box. You got to put in an ab mat. The worst is when you go to a gym and you see like 4 ab mats underneath someone's head.
Like it's already a shorter range of motion to begin with. Let's not make it any shorter. So now we're talking about like, I'm going, 3 inches down and pushing back up.
Oh, I love seeing that guy, so proud of himself. And they're just like, wah, 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 like just repping out these little range of motion, like their forehead touching 3 leather pillows in the fucking gym. Like part of me is just like, at what point did this generation of coaches and fitness quote-unquote professionals decide that the appearance and the sexiness factor and the coolness factor and you kind of look like Rich Froning factor, when that actually took priority over, it's not doing anything. Like you're literally here 3 days a week for an hour. Right. Is this the best utilization of your time? For, what we end up doing instead, we'll go on to the second phase of this, what we do instead, why we believe in what we do instead is primarily we do a lot of seated Z press. Obviously, everything we do has got some variation of tempo to it, looking at 4 seconds a rep at a minimum, things of that nature. What's some of the other stuff you've been programming in for shoulder pressing?
So a lot of half kneeling presses, so half kneeling single arm press, whether it's contralateral, ipsilateral, so same arm, same leg, vice versa. Piston presses, elevator presses, so pressing up halfway, pausing, pressing overhead, coming back down halfway, pausing, all the way down.
What's the one you do where you load the grip on the left and press with the right? What do you call it?
Farmer's press?
Yeah, farmer's press.
Yeah, so load a kettlebell or a heavier dumbbell on one side, and then that other arm over top. So now I'm having to stabilize through this other arm and my core while I'm pressing with that opposite arm. It's a great one.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's just, and a lot of those are, you see them to where in those gyms they're doing handstand push-ups, a lot of those are modifications. And then those same people, if you were to take the people who were doing handstand push-ups and you put them on these, they're going to find this 10 times more challenging.
Sure.
You can't cheat your way around it. I can't, hit my hips out from the wall and arc around it. Like, there's no way to get around this.
Yeah. When I think of it as like the movements that we do, and when we were talking about this, they were things that, again, they are infinitely scalable.
Yeah.
Like, it's the weight of the dumbbell you instantly change. That's it. The Z press. If someone has really back spinal posture, you have them splay their legs wider.
Yeah.
Now their lower back doesn't. Or
sit on a plate and elevate.
Yeah, we elevate. So you elevate the hips, so there's a little bit of an angle there, and someone's able to hit that. I looked at all the modifications. You said it earlier before we hit record. All the modifications for the handstand push-up that are off the wall, that are generally piked, they become decline push-ups, essentially. Like people, like the idea of being inverted, which I let me kick over to you. Do you believe that getting people inverted is, I using the word imperative, but is optimal for their fitness, desirable, whatever you want to say?
No. Yeah. No, I generally don't. I mean, I don't think it has an outcome for most of these people. Yes, I think they want to get fitter, but I don't think anybody's coming into your gym is like, hey, dude, I want to PR my Diane time. Like, I don't think most people don't even know what the fuck that is.
Sure.
I think they're coming in there to be in better shape, be healthier, and look better with their shirt off. And I don't think them kicking upside down and spending time upside down is going to make any difference in that aspect.
I remember I was working with Kyle Ruth over at Training Think Tank. He was doing all my individual programming. And this was back at a time when I did want to, this is like 2013, 14, I wanted to perform well at the CrossFit Open. I wanted to have 30 strict unbroken handstand push-ups. This was a desire of mine. And I remember every time I do handstand push-ups, right, Irish, fair skin, I would come up and I would just have broken blood vessels all around my eyes. My face would be super splotchy. It gets that way if I would ever do like a 1 rep max back squat, just my face, just broken blood vessels, the whole deal. And I remember literally like going out, that was like a Friday, and I wanted to go out that night, and my buddies busting my balls the entire night, like, bro. And these are big guys that don't do CrossFit. They're like, my dude, if your fitness, like, what'd you do again? And I'm like, oh, I did 18 in a row unbroken. They're like, oh, that's cool. You look like you have AIDS. Like, you're sitting here at the bar. You look like you either have motion sickness, you've been puking or something. Like, what the fuck's wrong with you? Like, at what point do you look at, like, the lasting effects of this one like, why are you wrapping so much importance around this fucking metric? And it was a vanity thing. I had seen someone on fucking the CrossFit Journal or on YouTube do it, and I was like, that looks cool. And look at their physique. Yeah. I want that. And I think that's the thing, too. Handstand push-ups do not create like what, in the bodybuilding community you'd call boulder shoulders, right? Like, they don't create really strong triceps. They are they're a tool or a party trick to when you have those things. But if you literally like, I want boulder shoulders, I want strong triceps, I want this shoulder girdle that looks very masculine, I want to fill out a large shirt, handstand push-up would be the last fucking thing I would ever take you to.
Right.
And then you get into things like, well, what about like deficit handstand push-ups, right? You guys talked about the range of motion. I'm like, oh, because there we go. That's what we need to be doing in a group setting, is going deficit handstand push-up or putting that on the fucking pedestal. I just wish more people would be like, no, check me out. I literally do Z presses with 50-pound dumbbells for 10 reps at tempo, and I want that to become the flex.
Right.
Like, I want that to be the thing that people absolutely like. That's it. Like, that's what I want. Just kind of like, maybe you or me. I don't know if you had it, but like, I had that moment. I'd look at guys, and they generally had these shorter arms, and like, I never really compensated for that. But, damn, I want to be able to do handstand push-ups like that.
Yeah.
Let's go. I want to go ahead and now that I'm thinking about this, Deuce, we were literally going to sit here. We were going to do all 3 movements in one go. We're not. We're going to do 3 separate podcasts on this because we're already 15 and we're not even done on this handstand push-up thing. So we're going to record fucking 3 of these for you guys. So after this one, wait a day or so, you'll hear the other 2. Let's talk about this. Why do you think it's better from a business perspective? Because you coach that, you've coached at CrossFit gyms that still do that the kipping handstand push-up and the handstand push-up. It's a part of the movement philosophy. Why do you think this is better from a business perspective? If someone's thinking of, they're opening up an Urban Movement, they're considering, okay, I think I'm going to change my training methodology, what these guys are doing. What benefits can they have on our side of the business side?
I think the operational capacity is the biggest one. I have 20 people in a class, and I have, out of the 4 walls on my gym, I have 1 wall this is the handstand push-up wall. This is the wall everybody goes to. And on that wall, can I fit 20 people on that wall? I mean, I don't know how long your wall is. I guess it depends. But chances are probably fucking not. And then the people who aren't on the wall, okay, you're going to do a pike handstand push-up off a box. Now I have a 24-inch box out on the floor that's also taking up space, and then this person hanging off the end of it. And then when they come down, they have to fucking like barrel roll out of it or kick off to the side, and it's just taking up so much space at this point. And then the aesthetics of kicking up to that wall time after time. And it's just, there's no way anybody has a wall at their gym that's perfectly clean that everybody does handstand push-ups on.
Yeah.
It's got a hole in the drywall where there's just marks up and down at left and right. And it's just, it just, operational capacity-wise, it doesn't make any sense.
So the handstand push-up wall, so there's like, ever been to a Longhorn?
Yeah.
So Longhorn is the chain steakhouse, right? And they give you a thing of peanuts.
Throw them on the ground.
Yeah, you eat the peanuts and you just throw them on the ground. And it's part of the experience at Longhorn, right? Like, aesthetically, it looks like complete shit. Like, you're just like, you walk in the first time, you're like, is this like the movie Roadhouse? Which I think this is what they were trying to make, like Patrick Swayze. Like, it's just like, but that's part of the fucking experience. Like, I feel like a lot of CrossFit gym owners try to wrap up. I'm like, this wall looks like shit. Can we get a fresh coat of paint on there? Like, Stu, I would. But man, every time it's gonna get ruined next week when we do handstand push-ups. I'm like, is it worth it for people to come in and on a wall that maybe, I mean, it's generally the wall, which I never understand, that has a nice mural or a logo on it.
Right.
Like they obviously wanted eyeballs on, and then they decided to let everybody with their wooden heeled shoes go up and down on this fucking wall. But going to that from the operational capacity standpoint, especially, I mean, even if you're looking at, regardless of whether you're looking at like social distancing and all that, the appearance, I would challenge a gym owner. Like, no, I'm keeping handstand push-ups. I'm like, okay, cool. Would you prefer that your prospects come in on handstand push-up day? Would you want a prospect coming in and watching a class doing handstand push-ups on a day you're trying to save them?
Or that was their first class.
Yeah, or it's their first class.
Absolute worst.
And I think, the prideful gym owners would be like, no, I would perfectly coach them and skill them, or we do PT first to make sure they're ready for it, whatever it is. I get it, good, great, grand. My guess is probably no. No, you don't want, because that is the movement that has the highest variable to look shitty, be dangerous, and has the least benefit. And people are like, well, Stu, I'm a CrossFit gym, and in CrossFit, we do handstand push-ups. No, fuckface, nowhere in the creed of constantly varied functional movements at high intensity did it say you have to be able to do handstand push-ups. Greg Glassman's fitness, world-class fitness in 100 words of less, throws muscle-ups and throws handstand walking in there of things that a great well-rounded fitness should allow you to be able to do. But it's not an exercise that you do in weekly exercising. It is something, it's an expression of your fitness. Everyone, in 2006, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, anywhere you go, you have to get the photo of doing a handstand with the landscape in the background, right? Like, that is awesome. Like, if you have the ability to find that. But to do 45 kipping handstand push-ups in a workout for time as fast as you can, where essentially you just end up with fucking up a disc in your neck and looking like an asshole, that doesn't get you to your freestanding, like your portrait photo on your, vacation to Thailand.
Yeah.
We're gonna wrap up here on handstand push-ups, guys. Here's the deal. The goal, again, is not to say if you do handstand push-ups, you're a shitty coach, you're a crappy business, whatever. This is the way we've chosen to do it at Urban Movement. Here's the justifications as to why we do it, the things we're thinking of. And I truly do believe, like what Deuce is saying, seated dumbbell Z press, unilateral pressing variations with our pick a spot model saves us a ton of space, cuts down on our overhead, has safer clients. I don't know how it's a lose for anybody other than that ego. When was the last time you did a handstand push-up?
I did one probably like 4 months ago.
How'd it go?
It went fine.
Yeah.
It was pretty damn good. Like, I didn't kip, I did strict, and then I did probably just as many strict handstand push-ups that I used to be able to do when I was doing them all the time.
Yeah.
I felt a lot better.
And see, that's the thing is, I'm good with people messing around with it. I don't believe it becomes part of the weekly, monthly programming for the business model.
Yeah.
Do I think there's an opportunity for people to again, someone pay a coach personal training? Like, hey man, I saw this. I told my buddies when I came back for Thanksgiving break this year, I was gonna be able to do 10 of them while drinking a beer. Can you train me to do that? Fuck yeah.
Or, hey, I'm going to the Grand Canyon. Can you teach me how to do a handstand
sure.
hold so I can take
100%. Something in an individual setting. 1,000%. All right, guys, that's our wrap on handstand push-ups. Stay tuned. Snatches and overhead squats will be on the next one. Peace.